Captain Ethan Ward stared out of the window of his spaceship, watching the stars stretch into long, silvery lines. For years he had flown among them, exploring uncharted systems, mapping planets, and defending humanity when needed. He had faced dangers many could not imagine: asteroid storms, rogue satellites, hostile aliens, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for the mission he was about to face. The message from the United Earth Council had been clear and unexpected. Captain Ethan Ward, you are assigned to a diplomatic mission of the highest importance. You will marry Princess Lyra of the Scifi species. Your actions will determine the future of humanity in the Andromeda Alliance. Ethan had read the message several times, hoping that some part of it was a mistake, but it wasn't. The Scifi were one of the oldest alien civilizations known to humans. They were powerful, wise, and proud. For centuries, humans and Scifi had coexisted with mutual caution. Now, tensions had grown, and the only way to maintain peace was a marriage alliance. He ran a hand through his dark hair and shook his head. Marriage was not part of his plans. He had fought wars, explored distant planets, and led dangerous missions. He had no interest in ceremonial duties, court politics, or arranged unions. And yet, the Council's words were not negotiable. Humanity depended on him. You have no choice, Ethan, his old friend and colleague, Lieutenant Karen Nielsen, had said over a secure channel. The Scifi won't trust anyone else. If you refuse, it could mean war. Ethan exhaled slowly. Duty had always been his guiding principle, more than personal comfort or fear. He had risked his life countless times for humanity. If marrying an alien princess, even one said to be unusual by human standards, could prevent conflict, he would do it. The Crystal Citadel awaited him. It was said to be the most beautiful palace in the galaxy, built high above a gas giant. Its towers glimmered like frozen light, and its walls reflected the colors of the planet below. The palace had been constructed by the Scifi thousands of years ago, and its magnificence was meant to show their power and wisdom. Ethan's ship descended through clouds that shimmered like liquid metal. As he approached the landing platform, he could see the palace stretching endlessly above him. Scifi sentries watched silently, their movements precise and controlled. They were taller than humans, with elongated limbs and glowing eyes that seemed to see everything. A Scifi aide approached him. Captain Ward, welcome to the Crystal Citadel. Princess Lyra awaits. Ethan nodded and followed, careful to maintain his composure. Inside the palace, the hall was even more extraordinary. Crystals hung from the ceiling, refracting light into thousands of colors. The floor was a smooth, glass-like surface, reflecting the grandeur above. Scifi nobles stood silently, watching as the human approached. He could feel their curiosity and perhaps some judgment. Rumors had spread about him. Some whispered that humans were too weak to marry a Scifi princess. Others doubted he would survive the ceremony. Ethan ignored them. He focused on the task at hand. The bride awaited in a separate chamber behind a veil of shimmering silver. Her appearance had been the subject of countless rumors. Some claimed she was beautiful in a strange, alien way. Others said she was less than human standards could accept. Ethan knew he had to see for himself. When the moment came, a Scifi attendant led him into the chamber. Princess Lyra stood before him, her body covered in flowing robes that glimmered like starlight. Her veil hid her face, but Ethan could feel her presence. Strong, calm, and dignified, he approached her slowly. His hand reached for the edge of the veil. In that moment, the world seemed to pause. Outside, the palace held its breath. Inside, only Ethan and Lyra existed. With a deep breath, he lifted the veil. The gasps were immediate. Ethan saw a face unlike anything he had ever known. Her skin shimmered with subtle waves of color, moving as if alive. Her eyes were large and bright, glowing faintly with a light of their own. Her features were sharp and alien, yet there was a dignity in her expression that made him hesitate, not in fear, but in awe. The hall seemed silent. The Scifi nobles watched closely, waiting for his reaction. Ethan took a step forward and offered his hand. Princess Lyra, he said clearly, it is an honor to meet you. Her eyes widened slightly, then softened. Captain Ward, she replied, her voice melodic but firm. I was not certain humans could accept me, Ethan smiled. I don't see a reason not to. He offered another reassuring glance. You are more than appearances. And appearances. They are not all that matters. Her lips curved into a gentle smile. It was brief, but something in it struck him. She was not merely the ugly alien bride that gossip had described. She was strong, intelligent, and aware of her differences. She had carried herself with pride despite what others thought. The ceremony began simple but elegant. They exchanged words of alliance, pledging loyalty not only to each other but to the future of both species. Every word carried weight, every gesture a promise. As the ceremony ended, Ethan noticed the princess looked uneasy. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I am nervous," she admitted softly. "I have lived my whole life being judged for my appearance. I have always wondered if anyone would ever see me for who I truly am." Ethan nodded. "I see you, and I promise to stand by you." For the first time, her eyes seemed to brighten, a faint glow of hope appearing within them. She reached for his hand, and Ethan felt the warmth of her grip. Not human warmth. Her skin carried an energy that tingled slightly, but it was reassuring. It felt alive, like she was sharing a piece of herself with him. Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the palace. The crystals lining the hall vibrated slightly, casting moving patterns of light across the walls and floors. Ethan frowned. "What is that?" Lyra's expression changed. "It is a warning," she said, her voice steady but tense. "A rift gale approaches. It is unpredictable. We must prepare." Ethan felt a surge of adrenaline. He had faced many dangers, but he had never faced a cosmic storm capable of tearing space itself apart. "Show me," he said. Lyra led him to a balcony overlooking the gas giant below. Outside, swirling clouds of light and energy twisted through the sky, moving faster than the eye could follow. The rift gale was a storm unlike any natural phenomenon known to humans. It crackled with raw energy, bending space and light around it. Ethan's heart pounded, but he remained calm. "We'll get through this," he said, more to himself than to her. She looked at him, a mixture of fear and admiration in her glowing eyes. "Few humans would face this with me," she said quietly. "Most would have turned back." "I am not most humans," Ethan replied. "I don't leave those in need. And I don't turn away from the future." For a long moment they stood together in silence, watching the storm grow larger, more intense. The palace trembled slightly beneath their feet, and a faint energy ripple ran through the crystals around them. Ethan realized that his journey had changed. This was no longer just a diplomatic mission. It was a test of courage, trust, and understanding, not just for him, but for all of humanity. And in that moment, he understood something important. The world, or the galaxy, might judge people by their appearances, their species, or their differences. But courage, compassion, and understanding transcended all boundaries. Ethan squeezed Lyra's hand gently. "We face this together," he said. "No one else, just us. Are you ready?" Lyra nodded, her glow intensifying slightly. "Yes," she said. Together. As the two of them prepared to confront the rift gale, neither fully understood what lay ahead. But for the first time, Ethan felt a deep connection, not only to the Thrakai princess at his side, but to the possibilities of a future where differences could unite rather than divide. The storm loomed closer, its energy crackling like the roar of 1,000 suns. Ethan felt the thrill of challenge, the weight of duty, and the spark of hope all at once. He knew that whatever happened next would test them both, but he also knew that he would not waver. After all, humanity had survived countless trials, and he, Ethan Ward, would stand strong beside Princess Lyra, no matter what the galaxy threw at them. And so, hand in hand, human and alien prepared to face the storm, unaware that this moment would mark the beginning of a journey that would change not just their lives but the future of their worlds forever. The Crystal Citadel's grand halls glimmered under the soft light of the gas giant below. Though the ceremony had ended, the palace was far from quiet. The Thrakai nobles moved in hushed whispers, their elongated limbs casting strange shadows on the crystalline floor. Everywhere Ethan looked, he saw curiosity, and something else he could not name, lingering in their glowing eyes. Princess Lyra walked beside him, her steps graceful despite the tension that lingered in the air. Her robes shimmered like the surface of a calm lake, reflecting light in soft waves. For a moment she seemed distant, as though she were carrying a weight too heavy for anyone to see. Ethan could sense it and chose not to speak immediately. He wanted her to set the pace, to trust him in this new and alien world. Finally she turned to him, her glowing eyes meeting his. "Do you regret your decision?" she asked quietly. Ethan shook his head. No, he said firmly. Not for a second. I did not marry you because I had to. I married you because I see who you are, not what others say you are. Her lips curved into a faint, almost shy smile. Few humans would have said that, she admitted. Most see only my appearance. They do not understand the responsibilities I carry. Ethan followed her gaze toward the massive windows overlooking the city-like expanse of the Scifi capital. Towers of crystal shimmered under the pale light of the gas giant, stretching far into the atmosphere. The city was magnificent, but it felt cold, almost unwelcoming. Yet here was Lyra, a part of this alien world, carrying herself with poise and dignity. I do not judge by appearances, Ethan said softly. I judge by courage, honesty, and heart. Those are the qualities that matter in any species. Her smile widened slightly, warmth breaking through her initial reserve. For the first time, Ethan thought he glimpsed the real Lyra, a princess. Yes, but also someone strong, kind, and human in her own way, despite her alien form. The palace attendants led them to a private chamber prepared for the newlyweds. The room was decorated with floating crystals that cast soft, multicolored light across the walls. The floor beneath them hummed faintly, resonating with the energy of the building itself. Ethan could feel it beneath his feet, a reminder that this palace was alive in a way he had never experienced. Lyra turned to him. Captain Ward, there is something you should know, she said, her voice steady but serious. The rift gale is approaching faster than we expected. It is dangerous, more dangerous than even the High Council predicted. Ethan nodded. Tell me everything, he said, his tone calm but urgent. He had faced storms, solar flares, and hostile forces before, but this was unlike anything he had known. It was not just a natural phenomenon. It was a force capable of bending reality itself. She took a deep breath. The rift gale is not just a storm. It is a living energy, formed by the galaxy's oldest powers. It reacts to life forms, to energy. It seeks balance, but it can destroy anything it touches. If it reaches the city, or worse, the planet, it could tear entire worlds apart. Ethan swallowed. And the humans in orbit? Are they safe? For now, Lyra replied. But we cannot rely on safety. Not with this storm. We need to act, and we need to act now. The human and the alien shared a determined look. Neither spoke of fear. Both knew they had no time for hesitation. The palace attendants had already begun preparations, securing energy barriers and protective shields. Ethan moved to the nearest console, his training taking over as he interfaced with Scifi technology. It was unlike anything he had seen, fluid, intuitive, and responsive, almost as if it were aware of who touched it. You learn quickly, Lyra said, her eyes glowing faintly with admiration. Most humans would be lost with this system. Ethan smiled. I learn when lives depend on it. The storm's first tendrils brushed against the upper layers of the citadel. Outside, the gas giant's swirling clouds began to twist violently, colors flashing unnaturally. The palace trembled, and the air filled with the soft hum of energy fields reacting to the storm's approach. Ethan felt the vibration under his feet, a pulse that seemed alive. Lyra took his hand. It is not just the city, she said. The storm reacts to me. Ethan looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? Her glow intensified. I carry the core crystal of my people, she explained. It is a part of me, but it is also a part of the galaxy's balance. The storm is drawn to it. If I cannot control it, or if the storm overwhelms me, it could destroy everything. Ethan's heart raced, but he forced himself to remain calm. He had faced impossible odds before, and he had survived. But now the impossible had a face, and it stood beside him, holding his hand. You will not face it alone, he said. We face it together. Whatever comes, I will be with you. Lyra's eyes softened, a glow of trust and relief spreading across her features. Few humans would say that, she murmured. Most would flee. Most would judge me and leave. Ethan shook his head. I am not most humans, and I do not leave those in need. They moved together toward the palace's observation deck. The Scifi attendants had cleared the area, leaving only the two of them and the swirling chaos outside. Ethan watched the rift gale move closer, a spiral of raw energy twisting against the dark sky. It crackled with unpredictable power, bending light and matter around it. Captain Ward, Lyra said softly, do not look directly into it. It is overwhelming, but Ethan could not look away. The storm was mesmerizing, terrifying, and beautiful all at once. He had seen stars explode, Planets collide and suns flare, but nothing compared to this. It was alive, almost sentient, and it seemed to recognize the core crystal Lyra carried within her. The energy, Ethan said, his voice low. It reacts to her. Not just the city, but to her. Yes, Lyra confirmed. It senses me, my power, my responsibility. If I falter, the consequences could be unimaginable. Ethan's mind raced. He had no training for this. No experience could prepare him for a storm that responded to life itself. Yet he felt a strange sense of clarity. He knew he had to trust Lyra. He had to trust her strength, her courage, and the bond forming between them. Then we act together, he said. Guide me and I will follow. Do not let me fail you, and I will not let you fail the galaxy. Lyra's hand squeezed his. Very well, she said. But it will not be easy. The storm will test everything: courage, trust, and understanding. Are you certain you are ready? I have never been more certain, Ethan replied. Together they moved to the core chamber, a space deep within the palace where the crystal's energy was concentrated. The chamber was filled with a soft, pulsating light, and the walls seemed to hum in recognition of Lyra's presence. Ethan could feel the energy through the floor, vibrating in harmony with her heartbeat. The chamber's energy reacted as they entered, resonating with Lyra's glow. Ethan marveled at the crystal, a beautiful living source of power that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was clear now why she had been judged by her appearance. The crystal's energy flowed through her body, shaping her form and appearance in ways humans could not understand. You see now, Lyra said softly, why I appear as I do. This crystal is my life, but it also makes me different. Some may call it strange or ugly, but it is the essence of my people. Ethan nodded, understanding more than words could express. I see you, he said simply. Not as others see you. I see the strength, the courage, and the life within you. That is more important than appearances. For the first time, Lyra smiled fully, her glow warming the chamber. Few humans see me like that, she admitted. It is comforting. They stood together in silence, the hum of the crystal surrounding them. Outside, the rift gale's energy continued to swirl, growing in intensity. But inside the chamber, a bond had formed, a bond that would guide them through the storm and beyond. Ethan realized that this was the moment when fear transformed into courage, when duty became understanding, and when the impossible became possible. He had entered this world as a human soldier, but now he stood as a partner, an ally, and perhaps something more. And in that moment, both of them understood a truth. Courage, trust, and compassion could bridge any gap, even the gap between two species, two worlds and two hearts. Outside, the storm roared, and the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Inside, a human and an alien faced the future together, ready for whatever trials awaited them, united by choice, by respect, and by the beginnings of something extraordinary. The rift gale had grown into a massive swirl of energy that lit up the skies above the crystal citadel. Its power was overwhelming, bending light, shaking the palace, and sending tremors through the glass-like floors. Outside, towers of crystal groaned under the storm's force, but inside, Ethan and Princess Lyra remained determined. They had no choice. Humanity and the Thrakai both depended on their courage and unity. Ethan glanced at Lyra. Her glow was brighter than ever, pulsing in rhythm with the core crystal she carried within her. How long can you hold it? He asked, trying to measure both her strength and his own resolve. I can manage, she replied, her voice steady but serious. But the rift gale is unlike anything we've faced before. It senses fear, hesitation, and weakness. It grows stronger when it perceives them. Ethan nodded. He had faced enemies who were visible, with intentions and weaknesses. This storm was different. It was alive, reactive, and unpredictable. But he could not falter. Not now. They moved deeper into the palace, to the heart chamber, a central hub where the core crystal's energy was focused. The chamber was filled with strange floating symbols that rotated in the air, reflecting the crystal's power. The walls themselves seemed to hum, resonating with the storm's energy outside. Lyra placed her hands on the core crystal. Its light surged, casting shadows that danced across the walls. Ethan, she said, you must understand. The crystal is not just a source of energy. It is a living force connected to the balance of our worlds. It is why my people survive and why I exist as I am. Ethan studied her. I understand, he said, though words felt inadequate. I don't need to understand fully to know one thing. I stand with you. Whatever happens, we face it together. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. Few humans would risk themselves for an alien they barely know, she said. Most would run. I am not most humans, Ethan replied simply. I do not leave those in need. Not now, not ever. The storm outside surged closer. The walls of the chamber trembled as energy waves rattled the crystal. Ethan grabbed a nearby console, using it to stabilize the energy field surrounding the chamber. The technology was foreign, but he adapted quickly, blending human problem-solving with Scifi systems. Your adaptability is impressive, Lyra said, watching him. Most of my people would have struggled to operate this in a crisis. Ethan glanced at her, smiling briefly. We all rise to the challenge when the stakes are high. You taught me that. Lyra hesitated. Then she spoke softly. Captain Ward, there is more you must know. The core crystal does not only store energy, it contains the essence of my people's ancestors. When I channel it, I carry the wisdom, the fears, and the hopes of generations. It is why I must remain strong. If I falter, the consequences could be catastrophic. Ethan's breath caught. That's a tremendous burden. It is, Lyra admitted, and it is why my appearance is as it is. The crystal reshapes me, adapts me to the energy. Some call me ugly or strange, but it is necessary. I am not merely myself. I am all my people, all their history, and all their responsibility. Ethan reached out and took her hand. Then you are more remarkable than anyone could imagine. And I will not abandon you. I will not let you face this alone. Outside, the rift gale's force intensified. The palace shook violently and some of the floating crystals cracked under the strain. Ethan realized that words alone were not enough. They needed action, and they needed it now. Lyra, he said, we must stabilize the storm. We can't just wait for it to pass. If we act together, we can channel your crystal's energy into the storm, neutralize it, and protect the city. Lyra's eyes widened. That is risky. Even I have never attempted it on this scale. The energy could overwhelm us both. We might be lost. Ethan held her gaze. I know, but standing aside is not an option. Humanity, your people, the galaxy, it all depends on our courage. And courage is what we have. She nodded, a mix of fear and determination in her glowing eyes. Very well, but we must synchronize perfectly. Any mistake could be fatal. They took their positions at the center of the chamber. Lyra placed her hands on the core crystal, focusing on its energy. Ethan connected the stabilizer consoles to her energy field, using both human technology and Scifi systems to form a delicate balance. For a moment, everything seemed still. Then the storm outside howled louder than ever, energy arcs striking the palace and vibrating through every surface. Ethan felt the power ripple through him, a force unlike anything he had experienced. It was terrifying, overwhelming, but also exhilarating. Lyra's glow intensified. Focus, Ethan. Trust the crystal, trust yourself, and trust me. He nodded, feeling the energy hum in harmony with their combined focus. Slowly he guided the stabilizers, directing the crystal's power into the storm's chaotic energy. The rift gale reacted violently at first, twisting and lashing out, but gradually, it began to respond. The energy waves outside started to form patterns, swirling in controlled spirals rather than chaotic bursts. Ethan marveled at the sight. Human technology and Scifi energy working together to tame the storm. It's working, Lyra shouted, though her voice was strained. Her glow pulsed rhythmically, each pulse synchronizing with Ethan's movements on the stabilizers. But the storm was far from defeated. A massive surge of energy struck the palace, sending both of them to the floor. Ethan's hands gripped the console tightly, refusing to let go. Lyra's glowing eyes met his. Do not falter, she cried. I won't, he replied, determination fueling his actions. With a final surge, they channeled all their energy into the core. The rift gale screamed as it collided with the controlled force, and then, slowly, it began to dissipate. The colors outside softened, the violent winds calmed, and the palace trembled one last time before settling into silence. Both Ethan and Lyra collapsed, exhausted, breathing heavily. The chamber glowed softly, the core crystal stabilizing once more. Outside, the skies were calm. The storm had passed. Ethan looked at Lyra, her glow fading but still warm. We did it, he said, awe in his voice. Lyra smiled weakly. We did. Together. For a long moment, they simply sat, letting the silence speak for them. The danger had passed, but the bond formed in the storm was undeniable. They had faced something extraordinary and survived, not just as human and alien, but as partners united by trust, courage, and understanding. You were incredible, Lyra said softly, her eyes glowing faintly. I have never known anyone like you, Captain Ward. Ethan shook his head, smiling. And I have never known anyone like you. You carried the weight of your people's history, and yet you faced the storm without fear. That is something I will never forget. Outside, the palace attendants began to check for damage, repairing the floating crystals and stabilizing the energy fields. HFY nobles peeked into the chamber. Their usual pride softened into awe. Even they seemed surprised that a human could stand beside their princess and face the rift gale together. You have done what many thought impossible, one noble whispered, his glowing eyes wide. A human. And the princess? Together. Ethan ignored the whispers. He was not seeking praise. He was focused on Lyra, on ensuring she was safe, and on understanding the incredible bond they had formed. Captain Ward, Lyra said finally, her glow now steady and serene. You have changed how I see humans. I thought you might pity me or fear me, but you do not. You see me for who I am. Ethan took her hand gently. I do not see an alien. I see someone brave, someone strong, and someone I trust. That is all that matters. Her smile was full this time, radiating warmth and relief. Then perhaps we have a chance. A chance not just for ourselves, but for our worlds. He nodded. Yes, a chance for humanity and the HFY to understand each other, to work together. And maybe a chance to see what is possible when we trust each other. For the first time, the Crystal Citadel felt welcoming, not imposing. The storm had tested them, and they had emerged stronger, united by courage and understanding. Ethan realized that this was the beginning of something far greater than a marriage or an alliance. It was the beginning of a bridge between species, a connection born from action, respect, and bravery. Outside, the galaxy remained vast and unpredictable. But within the walls of the palace, a human and an alien stood side by side, ready for whatever the future might bring. And in that moment, both of them understood a profound truth. Courage, trust, and unity could overcome even the most unimaginable forces of the universe. The Crystal Citadel shimmered in the calm after the storm. Outside, the gas giant's swirling clouds had returned to their serene patterns, reflecting the soft light of distant stars. Inside, Ethan and Princess Lyra remained in the core chamber, still recovering from the tremendous effort it had taken to stabilize the rift gale. Ethan rose slowly, feeling the fatigue in his muscles. The stabilizers around the core crystal hummed gently, their energy now balanced. He looked at Lyra. Her glow had softened, radiating calm warmth rather than the intense light that had battled the storm. You were incredible, Ethan said quietly. I have never seen anyone face such power and remain so strong. Lyra smiled faintly, brushing a hand across her robes. And you were brave, Captain Ward. Humans rarely understand the weight of the core crystal, yet you stood by me without fear or hesitation. Few HFY could have done the same. Ethan shook his head. I did not act out of courage alone. I acted out of trust. In you, in your strength, and in the possibility that we could succeed together. That is what mattered. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Outside, the palace attendants moved among the halls, repairing minor damage from the storm. The HFY nobles whispered in awe. Even in their own society, few had ever witnessed a human stand beside a princess in such a trial. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes soft but intense. Captain, there is something else you should see. The storm, the core crystal, the energy we channeled, it has changed something. I feel it within me. Before Ethan could ask, Lyra raised her hands to the crystal. A soft pulse of light emanated from her, enveloping her body. Her alien features began to shift, not grotesquely but harmoniously. Colors and forms blended seamlessly, creating a vision both human and HFY, radiant and balanced. Ethan stepped back, speechless. Lyra, you... She looked at him, her eyes glowing with warmth. The storm, our combined energy. It merged something within me. The core crystal adapted, harmonized my form. I am more than I was, yet still myself. Ethan approached cautiously, awe filling him. You're beautiful, he said, not caring that the words felt simple. Not because of shape or color, but because of who you are. The strength, the courage, the life you carry, it shines through. Lyra's glow softened further, a gentle radiance now reflecting the calm of her emotions. Few humans would see me like that, she admitted. Most would still see what they expect. Strangeness, oddity, ugliness. But you see beyond it. I see you, Ethan said firmly. And that is enough. Word of their success spread quickly through the palace. Thrakai nobles approached cautiously, their curiosity now tempered with admiration. The once skeptical council members watched as Ethan and Lyra emerged from the chamber together. For the first time, humans and Thrakai in the palace alike understood something new. Courage, trust, and unity could create wonders that transcended appearances. The formal ceremony to commemorate the storm's defeat was held in the palace's central hall. Crystals sparkled, casting colors across the marble-like floors. Humans and Thrakai gathered side by side, watching as the couple entered. Whispers spread quickly, some of surprise, some of awe, but none of judgment. Lyra walked beside Ethan, her new form harmoniously blending the elegance of the Thrakai with the familiarity of human features. Her glowing eyes radiated kindness, intelligence, and warmth. The crowd remained silent, captivated by the presence of both human and alien standing united in triumph. High Council members stepped forward. One elder Thrakai spoke in a resonant voice, translated into human languages by advanced communication systems. Captain Ethan Ward, Princess Lyra, you have shown us a future we could scarcely imagine. You faced the Rift Gale not separately, but together. Humanity and Thrakai alike owe you respect, gratitude, and inspiration. Ethan bowed slightly. I did what any human would do, he said humbly. I stood beside someone in need. That is all. Lyra squeezed his hand, smiling. And I did what few Thrakai would have dared, trust a human fully. Together we have done what neither could achieve alone. Outside, the citizens and observers from across the galaxy watched in silent awe. The humans on orbiting ships had transmitted the event, and everyone saw the truth. Appearances did not matter. Courage, trust, and understanding could bridge species, worlds, and hearts. The ceremony continued, celebrating both the survival of the Citadel and the bond formed between human and Thrakai. Yet for Ethan and Lyra, the true significance lay not in accolades or applause, but in what they had learned about each other and themselves. After the formalities ended, they stepped onto a balcony overlooking the gas giant. Its clouds shimmered in the calm after the storm, reflecting 1,000 colors. Ethan turned to Lyra. You have changed more than just yourself, he said quietly. You've changed how everyone sees the Thrakai, and how humans can see beyond differences. She looked at him, her smile soft and warm. And you have changed me, she said. You showed me that someone could stand beside me without judgment, without fear, without pity. That is more powerful than any energy in the galaxy. Ethan reached for her hand. Then we move forward together, he said. Not just as an alliance, not just as duty, but as partners. Friend, maybe more. Lyra's glow pulsed slightly in agreement. Yes, together. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Not in fear, but in wonder. For the first time, human and Thrakai truly saw each other. Their unity was a message not just to their own species, but to everyone watching. Courage, trust, and understanding could overcome even the most unimaginable forces of nature. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lyra worked side by side. They oversaw the restoration of the Citadel, studied the lingering energies from the storm, and built plans for future cooperation between humans and Thrakai. Every step strengthened their bond, deepened their respect, and solidified a partnership that would be remembered for generations. And at night, when the stars stretched endlessly across the skies, Ethan and Lyra would often stand together on the balcony. They would speak softly about their worlds, their histories, and their dreams. And sometimes they would simply watch the gas giant below, reflecting on the incredible journey they had shared, an extraordinary adventure that had begun with duty, faced with courage, and completed with understanding. The galaxy would remember the moment when a human married the alien's ugly daughter, and when they left the ceremony, the world was speechless. Not because of appearance, but because humanity had shown its greatest strength. Seeing value, beauty, and courage beyond differences, Ethan realized, as he stood beside Lyra, that this was the true meaning of humanity. Not strength alone, not skill alone, not intelligence alone, but the ability to act with heart, trust, and courage, even in the face of the unknown. And Princess Lyra realized the same. Appearances did not define her. Power, wisdom, and connection defined her, and together they were a bridge, not just between two people, but between two species, two cultures, and two futures. As the first light of a new galactic day spread across the Citadel, Ethan and Lyra smiled at each other. They had faced the impossible, tamed the storm, and found something far more precious: understanding, respect, and the beginning of a new era. The galaxy watched in awe, and for the first time, everyone understood. True beauty and true strength were not in what the eyes could see, but in the courage to face the unknown, the trust to stand beside one another, and the heart to act beyond fear. And so hand in hand, human and alien walked forward, not as strangers, not as duty-bound allies, but as equals, partners, and symbols of what was possible when humanity truly shined.